Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another Crafternoon Box tutorial. My name's Tangi from Papercrafting Australia. Thank you for joining us, whether you're here on the Saturday afternoon when we've done this. This is the 26th of June, or if you're watching this at a later date, thank you for popping back and seeing what we're up to. Today we are going to be working on a card using the embossed resist technique. So we're going to need all of our embossing tools, so an embossing ink pad or pen. You'll need an embossing bag, some embossing powder. Today we're going to use the clear, fine clear embossing powder that we've got from Papercrafting Australia that's come in your Crafternoon Box kits. And we're going to be using a bit of a heat tool, so if you've got one of these guys lying around, get that ready. I've got some blending brushes, all kinds of bits and pieces, so we're going to go from there. But I hope you've all had a wonderful week since the last I spoke to you. It's just been over a week now, so yeah. Thank you for joining me again, and let's have a look at what we're going to get into. If you're new to the stream, or even if you're not, just pop into the chat. If you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, just say hi, let us know who you are, where you're from, and it's good to have our regulars back joining us. So hi Tony and Emma, great to have you guys back on our Facebook feed. Just jumping in, I think everyone's gone a bit quiet on the YouTube stream today, but that's okay. Things will get going. Hi Jenny, thanks for jumping in on Facebook. Good to have you. We will, I just need to have a different screen there for me to see. But other than that, we're all good. So we'll have a quick look. So this is the example card that I've made for us today, just to show you what the emboss resist technique looks like. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to do some clear embossing. So clear embossing then gives us the ability for everything to show through from underneath. So this being a white piece of card to start with, once you put the embossing on, then you ink blend over the top of that. And then you can, the ink is not going to go on the area that you've embossed. So it's a really great technique. It's a wonderful look. It means that you can do things quite, single toned, if you like, and keep everything kind of clean, like I've done with the example. Or we can go a little bit crazier with different colors and things, and I will show you that in the example that we do today. So that's kind of what we're heading for. I've also got, as you might have seen in one of our previous sessions when I've done embossing, I've just got a plain piece of just photocopy paper. Just going to fold that in half, and that's just for us to keep all of our bits and pieces nice and neat on, and keep the embossing powder in one spot, and then to be able to help funnel it back into the little container. So I've got the Couture Creations embossing ink pad. So that's the clear ink pad. I'm actually not going to use that today, but this technique, you can absolutely use this with your normal stamps. We've got our Papercrafting Australia fine clear embossing powder. We've got our little embossing bag, so that's just our anti-static bag. I'm going to use today the Couture Creations embossing ink pen. So these came in the big kits, so the Crafternoon box that people would normally choose to have a larger ink pad, so they got this as well as the ink pen. If you were a normal Ink Cube subscriber, you got just the ink pad, and you could additionally add on your ink pen. So if you are an Ink Cube subscriber and you're wondering why you don't have a pen, you may have missed the memo to add that on. They are available in our online store at papercraftingaustralia.com. So if you've missed out, jump in, place an order, use the code NEXTBOX if you're happy for me to pop that item and any other items into your next subscription box. Pop that code in at the checkout and it will take off the shipping for you. So I've got today our Gina K designs. I've just got the ink cubes. So we've got Apple Mint and Passionate Pink. I'm going to use those because I've kind of decided I've taken a liking to this particular patterned paper, which does have a little bit of the Apple Mint and the Passionate Pink type colours in it. It's got probably my favourite, aqua kind of colour on the back, and normally I would use that because I absolutely love that colour, but I'm going to pair it with the Kaisercraft weave cardstock from the boxes, and I'm going to use that today. I'm going to use the plaid side of this patterned paper. So this is the plaid and watercolour mix from Paper Rose. So this is the 6x6 inch patterned papers. So I'm going to use this piece today. Pop my little cover off there. And I'm going to use that as our border. So normally you will see with my cards, I do like to have either a black or a flat colour. But I have recently used the patterned paper, and particularly this one, because it puts a little bit of a cross-stitch type edge around the outside, and I've really enjoyed that. So I'm going to use that today. I've got some of our Papercraft Smooth White cardstock, and I'm going to use that to ink blend on and also to pop inside my card as a panel for writing on. That's what I'm going to be doing. Hi, Margaret. I can see you've joined us in on Facebook, and Sharon Mum's here as well. Thanks, everybody, for popping back. I hope you're all well and the weather's fine where you are and you're ready to do some crafting for the afternoon. Just wondering whether perhaps chat in YouTube is not working today or something's going on. I don't know. Looks like something kooky's going on. Whatever's going on there in YouTube, guys, I can't see any comments today. So if you are commenting, just bear with me because I'm not seeing them. Just seeing if there's any. I don't know. Oh, there they are. I had my settings wrong. I can see Sharon and Tony are there. Hi. There's a couple of others in there. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what brought you here today. I also am going to go back to some of these sentiments that we had in the March Crafternoon box, which is from the Paper Rose collection. Really Rainbow was this one, and I just really like this. I think colour-wise, the greens and stuff kind of match into what we're kind of doing today, and then I'll grab a sentiment from there to kind of add to that. I've also got my blending brushes, so these are the Couture Creations. These are the large size ones. By large, they're not particularly large. I mean, that's my thumb. They're kind of a little bit wider, obviously. But yeah, I find this size really good. They do have a medium size as well. I just find it's a little bit too small for what I like to do. I just like to blend a big area fairly quickly. I don't really have much patience for mucking around. Yeah, I'm going to go with the plaid side today, Tony. We'll see how that's going along. Margaret's got a rainy day, great for crafting. Amazing. I think any day's a great day for crafting. Just going to pick out my bone folder. Just going to burnish this card base because, you know, why not? We don't want a floppy card going on. Hi, Deb. Deb's joining us on YouTube. Nice to have you there. Excellent. All right, I think I've got all my bits and pieces already. We have been out to the house. I've got to stop calling it the block because there is a house on it now. I've been out there this morning. We're still no closer. Well, we're closer to getting handover, but it's still a drawn-out process because now it's in the hands of the bank. So it's up to them. But I've got a photo for you, and I'll share that for you a little bit later. So that'll be fun. Cool. So we're working with an A6 size card today. So if you are cutting cardstock for your card, you're going to want to have the short side is 148 millimeters, and then 210 is the long side, scored at 105 millimeters. So that's that one for today. I've just gone with the mermaid colour from Papercraft. I've got my little mini guillotine Couture Creations. We've got these available in the store. I'm going to cut a border panel down, and I'm going to cut that down to 95 by 138 millimeters, and that'll give you a 5 millimeter border in your cardstock colour before your border starts to come into play. So I'm just going to chop 95 and 138. I know someone's going to be happy that we're back in millimeters today. Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Okay, so that's our little border panel. So you've got 5 mil around all of the sizes. And then I'm just going to cut a panel for our ink blending and embossing. Now that one, I'm going to make, the border panel is going to end up showing 3 millimeters around. So we're going to cut down to 89 millimeters. It's not 89. 89 by 132. 1, 3, whoops, daisy, 1, 2. Here we go. I was a bit tired before and I was just like, oh, do I just put this off for a little bit today because I'm not feeling the best? But now that I'm into it, I'm feeling good. So if you're ever having a day where you feel a little bit low, just bring out your craft things and start playing. Oh, Margaret, you're funny. Hi, Jenny. I don't know if you've jumped in on, are you on Facebook and YouTube or just on YouTube today? Either or, whatever you're doing, welcome. All right, I am going to just prep my white piece of paper before I do any embossing. I'm just going to get my little embossing bag out of here. So as I've said before, it's just filled with corn flour. So nothing kind of toxic. It's not going to, you know, annoy your cats or your kids or your allergies. Might give you a bit of a, you know, you might get an itchy nose if you get too much of it out. But I've just plonked it down so that some of the powder comes out of the bag, and then just given it a bit of a dust over just to kind of take any of the oils out of your hands, off the page, just giving extra places for the embossing powder not to stick. Okay, so I've got my little white panel. I should really do different piece of coloured paper underneath to kind of let things stand out a little bit. But anyway, we've got white on white today. And today I'm going to take my embossing ink pen. So this is really versatile. So when you're using your embossing ink pad, you are kind of a little bit at the mercy of the stamp that you're using or the medium that you're using to take your ink and put it to your paper. So, you know, that sometimes has its limitations. With the embossing ink pen, you can make your own patterns. Basically, anywhere that you're going to draw with this is essentially like putting the ink pad on that surface. So if I don't have a stamp that I want to use, but I want to make a background, I can just draw with this embossing ink pen. Then same process as normal. So you can just, you know, sprinkle your powder over, but anywhere you have gone with this. Now, something that I do like to add with this is if I'm using something that's not clear embossing powder, or even if I am, you can often use something like a gold embossing powder, and you can personalize things. So you can actually write somebody's name into the card and then emboss it and give it a really spectacular, beautiful look. So the pen is really handy for lots of different things. You know, process is all the same. So it's just playing around with combinations of things. So I'm just going to, before I forget, just pop some anti-static powder onto my card front because I don't want embossing powder to stick in places that I don't want it to. Hi Tracy, thanks for joining us. We're just doing some emboss resist technique today on a card. So lovely to have you here. Everyone's kind of saying this technique is one of their favorites, and I tell you what, it's really versatile and you can use it for anything. So today, and I'm probably going to work in halves of my card just because I don't want my embossing ink pen to dry before I get my embossing powder on. So I'm going to do 2 passes at it. Just going to flick off bits that are over there. But what we need to kind of decide, I suppose, is what kind of pattern do we want to do? I'm going to end up putting this little block greeting somewhere in the middle. So, I mean, we've got lots of rectangular type things going on. So what I might do, rectangles and squares, is I might draw just some, you probably won't get to see much of this because it's clear on white on that kind of stuff. But you can go over things a couple of times if you're not quite sure if enough ink has kind of made it onto what you're doing, and you should start to see a little bit of you know, a darker color start to emerge. It won't be color, but just a little bit of a wet look. And the more you hold your pen vertically, the more it will encourage the ink to come down into the nib. I'm just making some random rectangle, square type box shapes. Hopefully I don't know how much ink's coming out of this today, guys. I mean, it's putting ink onto my finger when I go touch it, so we'll see. We'll know in a second, because when I pour the embossing powder on, if there's nothing there, it's not working. Tony, you like playing around with this pen? I think it's pretty fun. All right, so I'm going to go pretty hard with my embossing powder, because really I can empty that and pop it all back in and reuse it, so I'm not wasting anything. Alrighty, here we go. Now we start to see where I've done stuff. Just get that up a little bit. So you can see I've just done some boxes, so I've got all different kind of shapes and thicknesses, because I've gone over the lines a couple of times. So it might not look like you're doing too much, but you are. So I'm just going to flick the back of my card, not too heavy, because I do want a lot more of it to stick. I am going to fold up my piece of paper, and I'm just going to funnel this powder, whoops, nearly lost it the other way, back into that little tub so that I can reuse it for another go. Pop my lid on so that I don't end up with embossing powder tipped over and spilt everywhere and not be able to get it back in. And then I'll take my heat gun. Now, you've told me this isn't too loud in the past, so I'm going to talk over it. I'm going to pop that on, and I'm just going to let it just heat up a little bit first before I start to go too hard at the card. And then just kind of wave that heat backwards and forwards across the embossing powder just to get everything warmed up. And then you'll start to see it change its kind of, just changes its texture. So you'll start to see it liquefy, and then it will start to set, and it won't be grainy kind of stuff anymore. It won't be the powder. You may find that your cardstock might start to warp in one direction versus another. So if that happens, just heat it from the back, and the fibers in your paper will start to pull back in the opposite direction. All right, so the worst thing you can do at this very moment while that medium is still warm is run your fingers over it, or kind of dust it off or do anything on that. While it's hot, you could actually still smudge that embossing powder. So just give it a bit of a fan. It'll cool it down a little bit. I think there's some areas where I didn't. Some of it hasn't taken, I think, because I flicked it off a little bit harder. But there's some good coverage on there, and it'll still give me the effect that I'm looking for. If I want to, I could go back in and put another round of pattern over there. But for the moment, what I'm going to do is turn it up the other way. Because I've been manhandling this like a crazy woman, I'm just going to embossing bag that again and just give myself a little bit of a run back over there. Grab my pen and go through the same process. Hi Karen, hi Liz, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Welcome to our little tutorial on the emboss resist technique. So let's draw some more rectangles or squares, whichever you like. What's everybody been up to for the week? It's been a bit on and off with the rain this week in Melbourne. We're out of lockdown, but that's good. Poor Sydney. I think, unfortunately, your Premier's made a bit of a wrong decision about locking people down or not locking people down, but fingers crossed things all come good fairly quickly. Got a few friends up there working on theatre shows at the moment that have been closed down, so that's another blow, another disappointment. One who's, I think, now up to their 5th lockdown because they've been moving around different states. Yeah, Tony, you guys are really close to going into lockdown. And I saw just before I came live today, there was also there's been a mine in Northern Territory that had just sent 900 workers home on shift change, and they had 700 others just come in, and now all of them, so like 1,600 people, The ones that have gone home, the ones that are still in the mine are all isolated because there was a worker who has tested positive. So 900 people around the country have all just, left that mine, close confined spaces, and yeah, fingers crossed they're all in the clear. But, we had one in Melbourne that was just a guy who came back from Sydney recently, and yeah, didn't know he had it, and has ended up passing it on to a colleague. So we've got a couple of cases down here. So it's not fun, but we're unfortunately, we're getting used to it. I just wish people wouldn't buy toilet paper when people go into lockdown. Like, there is plenty of toilet paper, guys. Apparently getting put into isolation means that you need to go to the toilet more often or something. I don't know. I mean, certainly, if you're not going off to work, you're not using the work toilets as much, so you are using the toilet at home more, but you don't need that much toilet paper. Oh, Marie, you've never tried this technique. I think you're going to love it. It's a pretty staple one in my arsenal. I like to ink blend, but I think embossing just really helps give just a bit of extra texture and makes people look a little bit, makes your cards look a little bit fancier than they necessarily are. All right, that's that bit done. Oh, Tony says, yeah, a beauty salon in a similar position. Is that the Joe Bailey hair salon that's the concern there at the moment? I saw him interviewed on one of the morning shows yesterday. Yeah, not good, not good. All right, I'm going to go back over some of these ones that I did before because I've somehow managed to end up with a little bit thicker application, and that's totally fine. You can go back over sections that you've already done. I do want to add a little bit to just some more. Oops, that was a bit off. A couple more squares in this one. I overpopulated the other half, so I'm going to have to go a little bit harder down here. I think what I did earlier was I just shook my card just a little bit too hard and popped a little bit too much of the embossing powder off. That's all right. Just keep going over it until you're happy with it. There we go. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Tip it all on. Haven't had lunch yet. Ben made a cheese toastie before. It smelt amazing. I just wasn't hungry yet. There we go. I haven't tapped too hard this time, so I think I'm right. Yeah, geez, 900 clients through a hair salon in a few days is a lot, isn't it? I know it's a big salon and I know they're very well known, very popular, but geez, that is a lot of people. All right, pop the old lid on. Don't want that super fine powder going everywhere. I've already got enough to clean up in this house. You've seen by the boxes behind me. Still packing, still waiting for the go-ahead to get moving. Hopefully in the next week or so we'll get the valuation done by the bank and we'll be able to move in. I'm hanging. I think I said it before, then I'll have to annoy you guys with something else that I can complain about or tell you about. It's just so magical watching this turn into the liquefied, form. I'm watching it all do its thing. I think it's one of the things that my nieces and nephew love watching is that kind of stuff happen. It's just magic. But like, I'm a big kid and I love watching it. So you can see because we've done the clear, it comes up a bit shiny. and that's great. I like it. It just makes it a little bit special. If you've got any other coloured embossing powders, you can absolutely do this exact same technique, and we will be playing around with some new embossing powders that we've got coming, which are, well, actually they're here. I just haven't brought them out to show you yet. We've got golds, we've got copper, we've got a rose gold, and we've got pretty much every colour under the rainbow. So that'll come through. So you can absolutely still do this with a coloured technique, and it looks exactly the same. It adds things. All right, so I'm just going to fold this over because there is still just a little bit of grit and grain on this bit of paper, and I don't want to kind of get that into my my ink blending. Margaret says you like hearing about my build. Well, I'll find another house in the estate to to talk about for you then, Margaret. All right, I have got my red and pink and my green/blue brushes here, so I'm gonna kind of use those. I just have 4 blending brushes at the moment, guys. You don't need to. Oh no, Greater Sydney, Blue Mountains, Central Coast and Wollongong into lockdown from 6 o'clock tonight. So sorry, guys. Well, I mean, I hope in some ways it just gives you more craft time. Hello, Paula. Thank you for joining us. You just having a late lunch and watching. Oh, I hope you've got something tasty. And it looks like we've got Marianne's joining us on YouTube. So, Marianne, thank you so much for popping by. Yeah, so I just have the 4 blending brushes at the moment. I just kind of have a little bit of a label on the back of them so I know what to, you know, I don't want to really blend my yellow one and go in with blue. But as I kind of build up my collection, I'm hoping to have, you know, a few more. And I can allocate a different one for a different colour. So I could have one for green and I could have a separate one for blue. But realistically, you don't really need more than a couple of blending brushes. If you give them a really good clean, they're going to be perfectly fine. So I'm going to start with the lighter colour. So this is the apple mint green, and I'm just going to grab a little bit of this. I'm just going to start on the edge. So on the example card that I did, you'll see that I blended in from the edges. So that was just to give a little bit more white space. But for this one, I'm going to go pretty hard, and I'm just going to fill in some areas. And you'll just have to keep going back and loading up your brush, particularly if you use the ink cubes, because you don't really, because it's such a small area to grab ink from, unless you sit there for quite a bit rubbing that on the ink pad. It's going to take a little while. But you can see where I've got the embossing powder. If I ink blend over, you're actually starting to get the resist. So the ink is resisting being able to go onto that background card because the embossing powder is resisting the ink. It's basically forming a barrier from the ink being able to get through to that cardstock. So that is the resist part of this technique. Oops, a daisy. As you all know, with the Gina K inks, they do dry a lot smoother than they do when they first are applied. So just give it a little bit because it'll go on a little bit patchy, but it will kind of iron out all of those little mistakes and blemishes that you might find that you do as you're ink blending, particularly if you're new to ink blending. I also don't know why I bother having brushes with a handle, because I kind of just hold the head of that brush just to blend. So I'm just spreading that across a little bit there. What's Paula said? I label my brushes with a white paint pen. That is a fantastic idea, Paula. Thank you for sharing that. I will get onto that at some point. Maybe once I've moved house and done all my things. That's genius. Good for you. Alrighty, so just going in a little bit from this side. So I'm just leaving some patches in between, and I'm going to go back in and fill those up with the pink, passionate pink. So, just kind of making it a little bit splotchy. And I mean, you can with a background. It's there's nobody telling you how to run your craft room. You can't tell me what color goes with what color or doesn't go with what color. This is our craft space and we'll do what we like. Colour wheel. What colour wheel? Yeah, coloured elastic bands I've seen, Paula, and definitely like things like the new Gina K blending brushes that have got little clips that go around this section of the brush. They just clip on, and you know, they're in all different colours, so you can easily assign your brushes. Fantastic ideas. Do you mean like coloured elastic bands, like the braces, the ones that kids had on dental braces? They'd work. You just have to find the right colours. Hi Liz, thank you for joining us on, what are you on? Facebook. Thank you. Thanks for popping by. What's in my imagination, Tony? The rules of the craft room? Yeah, I agree. Oh, this ink pad's a little bit juicier than my green one, so I just need to go a little bit, perhaps a little bit lighter with some of it. But you can, I mean, you can leave white space as well if you like. This one, because it does have a little bit of a darker colour, you'll notice that it's starting to, for the moment, look like the embossing that I've done earlier is starting to take on that stain. But once we're finished and we start to wipe that down with a tissue or a cloth, you'll actually see that will disappear and it'll go back to its nice bright white. So I'll just blend a little bit more in here. But pretty simple, easy technique. Anyone can do it. You'll see the inks will start to, particularly the Gina K ones, they'll start to smooth out, and you'll have a really nice pattern going on there. So I'll call that done for the moment. No craft police here. I need a sign on my door. No craft police. Keep out, craft police. All right. So I'm just going to take a tissue, just because that's what I've got close at hand, and just give my blending a bit of a rub. Just going to go over those areas where the ink is sitting on top of the embossing, and you'll see that it's starting to clean up just as white as it was before, so it's nice and bright. Don't rub hot embossing because you'll generally burn your finger and you'll smudge your embossing, so don't do that. Not that it's hot at the moment, it's definitely cooled down. It doesn't take too long, but we all have that, I guess, little part of us that you do the heat embossing and you see something that you're not quite sure, you want to brush a bit off and you just have that instinct to rub it. Don't do that. Just give it a second to cool down. Wow, that pink is really potent. So that is essentially what you're coming out with. So anything that you've marked with the embossing powder, whether it's using the pen or using an ink pad and a stamp that you like, you can make just a quick little background. I mean, I can drag that out and make it half an hour of chit chat and whatnot, but really you could whip that up in a couple of minutes and go from there. So I'm going to start putting this card together. This bit. Get a bit of the old double-sided tape. So the Couture Creations double-sided foam tape. You know I like this. It's nice and quick and easy. What's he rattling on about? Oh, you can buy a packet of the elastic bands in a newsagent. Oh, the wristband, yeah. The wristband elastics. Or the ones those kids use for, I don't know what they're called now. Looms? Are they loom bands or something that the kids are all making little craft wristbands out of? I have to ask my niece. She'll know. Yeah, if you don't like your design, you just flip it over and flip that over, work on the back. Glue it down. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. And realistically, we're our worst critics. We're the ones that look at things and go, that's not how I wanted it to come out. Thanks, Marianne. Yeah, looms. Good. I was on the right path. Kind of losing touch with the young ones these days. I'm getting old. Yeah, so, I mean, we're our harshest critics, really. We just, If it doesn't look how we thought it was going to look, it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's wrong. I'll always tell myself it's wrong. Yeah. Yeah, Mum, you can definitely get some from Reagan. I'm sure she's got plenty. Paula, you've got tons. What are you making? Loom bands, obviously. Stupid question, Tangi. There's no stupid questions, only the ones that you don't ask. That's what I'm currently telling my new call centre team that I'm now managing. It's pretty scary, the amount of stuff that they don't know, and they've been doing a job for nearly 6 months now. It's like, oh, how do you not know how to do that yet? Okay, well, you don't know what you don't know, so let's figure it out. Right, just making sure I've got my card the right way before I stick this panel onto it. Not that this panel's particularly got a right way up or a wrong way up. It just will come down to however it flips over and goes onto the card. So we do have Wednesday night, guys. We will be launching the Crafternoon Box inclusions for, let me get this right, this will be for August. I think I've already spilled the beans to you guys about there being some blue, a blue theme. We are blue ink pad for the month of August. So join in on Wednesday night. We'll be back live on Facebook and YouTube. And I'll go through all the bits and pieces so that you can get excited. I mean, I know we've got a whole month until that kit arrives, but you know, it doesn't hurt to get excited about what's coming. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you know, jump in. You'll get a chance to pop your orders in. I've literally just ordered all of the ink pad colours for the remainder of 2021. So that's exciting and scary at the same time. So we do have limited numbers that I can now facilitate for the kits for the rest of the year. So it'll be pretty important now if you're wanting to jump in that you'll need to jump in fast and secure your kit when they go on sale, and that'll be on the night of the 30th of June. So that'll be at 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. It gives our friends in the Western states a bit of time to finish work and come home and go from there. What do you use, Paul? Use the bands to attach a button to the arms or glasses and hook. Oh, your mask's over a button. Yeah. Saves your ears. Thankfully, I've not had to wear a mask too much since most of my work has been done from home, but I definitely know lots of people who have had to wear them a lot. My boyfriend actually has two. I made him a bunch of masks. They've got Marvel comics on the front of them, which kind of makes it better for him to wear them. He likes to wear something that's a little bit individualized and personal. But I put 2 loops through his, so instead of tying them around his ears, he actually ties one around the back of his neck and one up on the top of his head. And that means that, again, like what you've said, Paula, it doesn't pull on your ears. So yeah, he's quite happy about that. All right, I might cut one of these little sentiments. I might cut. So I've got "You are simply amazing." I'll put that in here. I might steal the "Loves You" one. I don't know who I'm sending this to yet, but here we go. Tony, you can't wait to see the blue box. I think blue for you is a little bit like purple was for Carrie. Just can't wait to see it. And I'm another step closer to us having our exclusive range of papers. So 12 by 12 inch papers. We've been negotiating some contracts with printers and designers and stuff this week, so they are starting to feel more and more likely to be ready to come out for the start of 2022. So our January box onwards. So I'm excited about that, but I don't want to kind of get stock delivered too early and, you know, clog up the new house and the new everything. You're liking the geometric look? Yeah, I'm a bit of a fan of geometric kind of look. And I'll tell you what, I didn't really think that green and pink went together until I saw that patterned paper. And I think with just a little bit of it, it's actually come up quite good. All right. A little bit of foam tape for the back of these guys. Oh, nearly went into the right spot of its own accord. Yep, so pretty exciting to get August. Before we know it, like it is going to be the January 22 box that we're launching. So, you know, don't want to wish it away too quickly, but it's kind of getting there. It's kind of getting there. Do I put a flag end in this, guys? You know, little loves ya. I'll give you a second to write some comments and let me know if I should put flags on or just keep it square today. Considering everything else is quite square, maybe I'll leave that. Good old fingernails. No fingernails Tangy is struggling with the backing of the red tape again. What's new? I had to create a stand-up desk. I haven't got it on at the moment, but I had to create my own standing desk during the week because I had a little bit of a sore back from some gardening that I did. There's the old crony in me. Yeah, so kind of put my computer monitor up on the shelf and was put a cardboard box on my desk and stood up at that. It was pretty good. Yes, Tony says flag. Paula says see. Yes. Excellent. Emma says yes, do the flag. Sharon says yes. All right, here we go. Little trim in the middle here and then cut in from my corners. You guys just want to see if I can cut straight today. This is a test, isn't it? Paula, my answer to you is un momento, por favor. It's about all I know. Everything else I've learnt from watching romantic Spanish shows with Mum. Does anybody watch the show Velvet on Netflix? If you're into foreign, well, it's not really foreign, but if you don't mind watching a show with subtitles, give it a go. I think you craft people would actually really enjoy it. It's a story of a Spanish department store, fashion department store. And there's a lovely romance story. Paula says, stay with square. Sorry, Paula. Oh, whoops-a-daisy. I misinterpreted your acknowledgement. Yeah, so, yeah, a little bit of a romantic comedy from Spain. Quite hunky lead male. Definitely worth the eye candy. All right. Pop that kind of there. What have I got in the way of jewels today? Are we going a couple of pink ones, or should I? I thought I had, pardon me, I thought I had some silver. Oh, here they are. Some silver ones down in the bottom of a box. Margaret, are you learning from all the mistakes that I make? That's the main thing, because, you know, we all learn from our mistakes. You might as well learn from my mistakes as well. Apples have pink and green together, of course. Good job. You retracted your square comment. Yeah, Mum, you're a little bit obsessed. Obsessed with the Velvet TV show. They did do a bit of a spin-off as well, but it was kind of sad for it to end. Oops. Just randomly popping just a couple of little jewels on here. Don't want anything too crazy. I think with such a busy kind of background and then also the border being a bit busy, I don't really want too much extra bling. But that's where I'm going to leave that particular card today. I am going to, afterwards, I'll pop a white panel in here so I've got something to write on and not have to use a white gel pen or something. I just find it is a little bit cleaner. But that's the card. I'll pop a photo of it up on Facebook a little bit later. But I did promise you guys a little bit of a sneak peek from earlier today, which is this. This is my partner Ben and me at the new house. So they've finally finished all of the exterior. There's still a bit of rubbish on the ground, but they've finally taken away the fencing. So that is great. For it to now it looks like a house. It doesn't look like a construction site so much. So that's been really good to see today. So we did do a bit of a tour through inside just to make sure everything was done and all the appliances have arrived. So they're ready to go in. Yes, Emma, it's so exciting that we're nearly there. So yeah, so that's where we are at this stage. So it's not a pretend house build that I'm just rambling about to make a story up. As you can see, there's chaos going on in the background. There's orders ready to be sent out and things like that. And there's boxes full of things getting packed up. Thankfully, I kept a lot of boxes from other orders that I've been getting over the last few months, ready to pack little things into. So I've got stock in some and little post-it note, labels on the sides to tell me what it is. And I've got a particular pile for things that I need. I've got boxes for the upcoming kits. So as I'm getting that stock in, that's going into that box. So they are the priority boxes. So it's all go. But thank you again for joining me. It's been a blast having a chat with you all again. Again, would love to see some of your work on Facebook. So if you don't mind popping a photo of your finished pieces up, it would be lovely to see all of the different patterns that you guys come up with your ink pens. If you haven't got yours, your embossing ink pen, jump on the website. Again, it's papercraftingaustralia.com if you're not familiar. We didn't go for the AU. It just didn't seem worth the extra money, to be fair. So yeah, pop some photos up on our Facebook page. Show us what you've done. Next week is going to be a week off. That's not to say that I might not pop in and, I don't know, I might play with something in my stash somewhere. But essentially there's 5 Saturdays in July. And we only do 4 tutorials for the month. So next week is a bye. It's a day off. But yeah, as I said, it might pop back in at some point. But we do have the launch for the August kits and boxes coming on Wednesday night this week, the 30th of June. So please join us again at 8 o'clock. Love to see you there. In the meantime, I hope you all have another lovely week. Everybody stay safe in this COVID world. Not long now and I'll have my second injection. So I hope you're all heading off and getting your first, if not your second, if you're eligible to. The sooner we all get this done, the sooner it's going to hopefully lay low for quite a while. So do the right thing, stay safe everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.